Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. So, guys, this is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika, okay? And today is Tuesday, so y'all know what that means. It's Kingsofnapa, okay? Let's talk about it. Y'all, I am confused, okay? I am confused. I am confused. I am confused. All right, if anybody can tell me what is going on, put it in the comments, okay? Explain it to me because I don't know what the heck just happened, all right? Now, we started out this episode, right? First of all, this is Kings of Napa, right? Tonight's episode is Bamboozled, all right? And this is on season 1, episode 7, okay? And so, of course, we know that Bridget got arrested and Aunt Melanie passed out, right? That's how we ended last week's episode. And we start out tonight's episode with them all at the hospital trying to figure out what the heck is going on with, I'm sorry, I don't know if I said Aunt Melanie. You know I'll be confusing these names sometime, but I meant Aunt Melanie if I did not say that. We know that she passed out and that they had to rush her to the hospital and they trying to figure out what was happening there. And so they're basically just in the waiting room trying to figure out what's going on. You know, you got Dana saying we're the kings and we need to know what's happening here. You know, we waiting for information on Melanie Pierce. And the nurse lets him know that the doctor will be out to give him any information that they have. And so Vanessa's saying, you know, they gotta stay strong. They gotta pray, and that the Reverend reminded her of the power of prayer and, you know, just being together as a family in hard times like these. And so, you know, Christian is actually telling them to chill because August is saying you need to be praying for forgiveness. And she was like, you know, you pulled a fast one last night with just throwing, you know, Bridget in jail like that. And of course, Vanessa's like, would y'all cut it out and say these prayers? Okay, y'all supposed to be praying and y'all over here arguing. You got Dana still saying that Bridget extorted them. And you got Mama Vanessa telling them to stop it. And she was like, you know, I watched your father die in front of my eyes a couple of months ago. And I'm now seeing Melanie fall into the ground, got a niece in jail. Like, it's too out of control right now. And can we just please focus on praying for my sister? You know, and so they all, you know, quiet down. And of course, August's phone is going off and she's like, I'm sorry, this is Steve Sims. I have to take it. It's supposed to be a critics press release event or something like that. And so they was, you know, focusing on the top vineyards or whatever the case may be. And so Christian is saying we got to rock this. And you got Auntie, you know, Yvette come in and she is like, listen, I jumped on the first flight from Vegas. I needed to be here. I knew something was wrong when y'all sent me that damn, you know, cryptic ass message. And she was like, why the hell is Bridget in jail? What is going on? She was like, Kings don't do the joint, you know. She was like, have anybody tried to bail her out? And they said it's 48 hours before her bail hearing. And so, you know, they was like, yeah, Auntie is not looking good. Evidence is pointing towards Bridget. And she basically, it was like, listen, there's no way she did this. Y'all look crazy. This is a damn mess. Get it together. There's no way in the world she would do something like this. And then Vanessa tells her to handle it, make it right. And it's like, how the hell y'all gonna put it on Yvette now to make it right when she wasn't here and didn't have nothing to do with none of this? But nonetheless, the doctor comes out at this point and says she has something called African sleeping sickness. Okay, she was bit by some type of TT fly while she was out overseas, and it is a big infection. It's crossed into the brain and therefore made her slip into a coma. Okay, and they are doing everything that they can. And you know, he asked, does she have a daughter? They say yes. They said, well, she needs to get here soon because, as he said, they are doing the best that they can. So this is not sounding too good. Okay, they say she might want to be prepared. And Christian was like, whoa, hold up, what the hell does that mean? And he was like, as I said, we doing everything we can. So right now, they need to be praying very hard for Aunt Melanie from the way that they are saying it. And they need to go ahead and let Bridget get to see her mom just in case anything happens, okay? And so, of course, they're saying all this evidence looks bad. You know, you got August having a conversation with Kelvin where he's like, do you really think she could do something like this? He was like, some things is just not adding up. He was telling her at first that she might actually feel better if she has a conversation about what's going on. But they essentially end up getting into a bit of an argument where August is upset and saying, you know, so much for feeling better, I actually feel worse. She feels like he's taking Bridget's side. And he's like, you know, y'all always kind of have this competition thing and this jealousy thing going on or whatever the case may be. But maybe she actually has a good reason. Have you even went there and sat down and had a talk with her? And she's saying, you know, I just really want you to have my have your support and know that you're on my side. And he's like, I am with you. And she's basically saying again that this evidence does not look good. But he was like, you know, she does deserve an investigation and a fair trial. And she says, as you know, president of Kingsofnapa, she is only worried about right now making sure that her father's legacy stands good and that, you know, her company is okay. And on one hand, I understand her, but on the other hand, for y'all to have known and worked with Bridget for all these years, it just seems a little funny at the same time that you would think so easily that she did this. And what exactly is all the proof that y'all are supposed to have? And so, nonetheless, Aunt Yvette, I should say, goes see her. And she's giving her update on how her mother's doing. And she's like, look, this is not an easy situation. There's a lot of evidence against you. And she was like, well, August told them it's not true, right? And she was like, come on. She knows, you know, the relationship we had. And she's the one that begged me to come back to the, vineyard in the first place. And she feels like you betrayed her. And she was like, I didn't betray her. She's backstabbing me. You know, who the hell is she turning into? She was like, do you think I'm the extortionist too? And Auntie Yvette says no, that she doesn't. She was like, out of all of her brother's kids, Bridget is the most like him, and she knows that she would never betray his his legacy, and that she definitely believes her. And she says, thank you, Auntie. And so I don't know, y'all, because on one hand I feel like it is too easy and too simple for it to be Bridget, and somebody is making it look that way. On the other hand, Bridget has been making some flaky moves, okay, and she needs to come on out and say what the heck it is so everybody could be on the same page and know what the heck is going on. Then we have Christian still messing with this chick, still trying to make it right with her and make her feel like, she's the most important thing to him, I guess. They had that trip in LA, and he's saying he don't want to mess things up with her again. And he appreciates the fact that she don't care that he's a king, and she checks on him like she do. And a brother needs that sometime. And, when shit gets real, that, he'll be there for them. And, of course, then he want to get his groove on with her or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, Christian, I don't know if I really trust her either. Okay, keep an eye out on that. And then you got, Vanessa trying to check up on Dana, because of course he's not dealing with things and addressing things still with Rose. She still hasn't came back. She's asking him about that, and she's telling him maybe he needs to take some time. He's telling her to go back to the hospital and see Aunt Melanie. He's good. And he basically has a massage therapist coming out ready to give him a massage, And I'm like, okay, Dana. Then you have August finally come see Bridget and say, who are you working with? They had, your cell phone pinged by the towers by your house. And she's like, you have motive and we have proof. And she's like, proof? What proof do y'all have? She was like, unless. And then, of course, she realizes that they were bugging her place. And so, Bridget is saying to August, like, you were watching me, you was bugging my place. She was like, wow, way to play dirty, sis. She was like, August says I had to protect my family. She was like, but I am your family too. And then she was like, well, how did you know about Dad? And she was like, oh, you think me and Dad had a little secret? She was like, no, that's not how it went at all. She was like, actually, I heard him and my mother having a conversation one time about my, student tuition. And I thought that it was real strange how they was talking. It wasn't in the way that an uncle would be talking, with a sister, or it was the way parents would be talking about a child. So when they went out for coffee one day, instead of throwing the coffee cup away, she actually kept the cup, ran a DNA test, and it confirmed that it was her father. She was like, how long I looked for my father, how that's always been an interest to me. I always wanted to know what happened. I always felt like my mother was lying about it and things of that nature. And so then it was a confirmation, and then I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to tear the family apart. And she said, sometimes I feel like you would basically sacrifice me if it came to a choice. I would be your sacrificial lamb. And so, August is still saying that this evidence is solid, but I still haven't heard what exactly this evidence is. And she was like, you think you know everything, but you don't. That's basically what Bridget said to her. And she was like, you trying to be a strong leader and take me down, well then be ready to fight. Be prepared to fight. And she just calls for the guard because she sees that the conversation is not going anywhere, and that obviously August does not believe her when she's saying that she didn't have anything to do with this. So it's like, well, what's the point of carrying on with the conversation? The family, Vanessa, August, Christian, Dana, they all are there trying to at least continue with this meeting that they had and have these people see, what their new wine is going to be about. They see the reporter that was doing the story on Dana show up, and they like, why is she here too? And so August basically just announces that, they thank everybody for coming today, and of course the same reporter ends up being like, well, y'all decided to do this wine, and then you have Sean and Sean doing this wine too, and they had a private testing last week, and it actually tastes very similar to y'all wine, okay, and it's a dessert wine too, and they say it's dark plum, raspberry, and chocolate. And so they was like much better price points. And so of course August is about to have a daggone panic attack, because how would they have the exact same taste as theirs, and how would they even be thinking about a dessert wine? Dessert wines were nowhere on their mind that they know anything of, right? This is something that August came up with that her family barely wanted to go along with when she originally brought it up. So of course they're upset about that now, and Christian and Dana paid them a visit and was like, how the hell did y'all get our thing, our recipe? How are y'all trying to put out the same thing as us? And they say that Bridget actually told them about it when she came to them, and they was like, it's all thanks to that smooth criminal. And so they was like, had she not spilled the tea, they wouldn't have known, and they were able to beat them to the punch. And so they was like, we're not stopping anything after what your conniving sister did. This is business. And so they basically tell Christian and Dana to get off their property. And Christian was like, all right, I'll bounce. And also, don't get it confused. Just because I wear Balenciaga, don't let it fool you. I'm not no punk, and no one is going to get over my family and do them dirty and get away with it. And they basically was like, is that a threat? And Dana tells him to just come on. But he does let them know that they will be getting a cease and desist by tomorrow morning. So now this done turned into a whole nother mess, because now freaking Bridget done went and told them about this, and they done stole that idea on top of everything else that they've already are dealing with. You then had the cops go to Bridget's house and take stuff from there with, the warrant to search her premises. You got the guy that was supposed to be, coming on board with them, that Auntie Yvette was getting it on with. She comes in with him, oh no, before that even happened, she went to Kelvin and she was like, my niece is knocked up, okay, she should not be in there, I'm not going for it. She was like, and you've been doing bumping and grinding with my other niece, okay, and it was all fun when everything was good with that, okay, and I need you to come on through and take care of my niece, not only for me, but for August too. She's like, she's not going to say it to you, but, because she has to hold a certain stature or whatever with the family and with the company. But there's no reason why Bridget should be locked up, and she needs a good attorney. And he was like, well, I can't represent her. And she was like, well, listen, she needs to be out, and he was like, it's a conflict of interest. And she was like, oh, August. She was like, oh, now it's a conflict of interest, because you tapping that ass and y'all booed up or whatever the case may be. And she was like, it wasn't a conflict of interest when you was representing Melanie. And he was like, well, that's before me and August got serious. And she was like, well, now if you're serious, then you need to get deep down, okay, and fight, because at the end of the day, she has to stay out of it because of the House of Kings. And he was like, look, this is different, Miss King. And she was like, he told her, I care about Bridget and I'm worried, but my legal expertise is telling me that they got the wrong person. And I hear the DA is planning on going in with the warrant and all of that. He was like, I could call a friend to help her, in that way, but I can't do it. And she was like, well, if you're supposed to be family, Kelvin, then you need to be the one to do it. Nobody is going to do it like you, and family protects family. And so she was like, black folks is getting killed every other day on video, no convictions, and yeah, now they want to lock up my lease. She said, I'm not having it. No, sir, no way, okay? And so she was like, this is where it's going to matter, and you're going to do what got to get done. And so he was like, look, no promises, but I will deep dive into the evidence and see what's going on. She was like, you got 1 hour and I got bail money, okay? Yvette ain't playing with this. And she was like, I'm counting on you, and so is August. So I'm like, I don't know about all that, but okay. And then he tells her he got it. And so, we have Mama Vanessa giving a tour, doing some wine tasting or whatever. And then she sees that August is just standing out there, looking like a sad puppy on the balcony. So she stopped and she's talking to her for a minute. And then you have, Aunt Yvette come with the guy that was actually supposed to be like distributor for them. And she's like, oh, y'all remember him, right, or whatever. And, she lets them know that she did go and ask Kelvin for help. And August is not happy about this, okay? And then she's mad that her mother knew about it and that her mother had told Aunt Yvette to help. And she's just over it. And she's like, oh, my boyfriend is going against me too, and boo, 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 boo. But I'm like, August, use your common sense too, man. Think about what you know, all of the facts. Think about the type of person Bridget is again. Anything you want to know, you could have asked her. And even with the way your mother was acting all this time, which I never agreed with, and she's even saying, look, I wasn't happy when I found out about everything, but I love Bridget as my niece. I have loved her almost like she was a daughter to me. And she doesn't even believe that she did this. And Yvette, everybody can't be saying this for nothing. Even though right now things is not looking good for Bridget, I still don't see none of the hard evidence that y'all keep saying that y'all have. All of that could probably be explained away. So nonetheless, you have, Bridget actually get out, and you have her talking to Kelvin about her defense. Her realizing that August doesn't know that he came to help her, and telling him he gonna be in trouble for that. She wants to go straight to the hospital and see her mother, but he's like, I think it's smarter for you to go home first, get changed, rest for a minute, and then maybe go to the hospital. And you have Yvette basically upset and giving Mr. Distributor guy the breakdown on her family and everything they had to go through to get where they are, especially with there not being that many black vineyard owners and wine owners. That, this is really a game where there's a lot of white people that's dominant in it, and racism and all that different kind of stuff. Because he tells them he can't even work with them anymore. They have switched him from Sean to Sean, okay? He have bosses that's over him, and they don't put him with them. And so, now they're really upset, and they're saying, come on, don't jump to nothing yet. All of this is going to get cleared up, or whatever the case may be. This was our idea. We was the first ones doing it. And she's upset, with him, rightfully so, that he's saying he can't work with her no more. So she's giving him this breakdown, and she's really, upset about it. And she was like, they always stealing everything from us. And she was like, you better believe that we are going to still come out on top, and we are going to be able to make it, And so he was basically like, listen, I'm not mad at it. I believe you 150% or whatever. And, I see the way that you work and stuff like that, and I have no doubt that y'all will prevail. And he was like, I know this looks bad, But this isn't about Black Lives Matter or any of that. This is just business. He was like, you don't need to be hysterical. And she was like, just because you work for those crackers don't mean they ain't racist, and they had me laughing because he calling her baby, she calling him snack cake, but they, getting in on each other in between. And he was like, I hope you wasn't about to kick me to the curb, you know what I'm saying, because of this situation. I hope you wasn't dating me because of my position. And he like, mwah, 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 kissing her in different spots. And she's like, oh, that's my spot. And she like move a little over to the left. So they actually seem like, like they probably been seeing each other over this time. And she was like, the only position I've been with you for is the horizontal one. Okay. It has nothing to do with the House of Wands. And he was like, he liked to hear that. So Yvette has got her little boo out of this. All right. And they do seem like they are cute together. And of course, when, Bridget gets home, she's seeing that her place is all torn apart, stuff tossed upside down, her pictures broke. And we see her run to grab one of her paintings and check the back of it. And there is a whole bunch of money in there, child. I don't know where Bridget done got all this money from now. See, Bridget, I just was defending you, but then you see something like this, and I'm like, where you got all that money from, girl? And then there's some other type of shirt or something like that. I couldn't tell what that was, but she more so like seemed like she was worried about that and hurried up. Or was it a hat? I think it was a hat because I remember her putting a hat on her, but she seemed more concerned about that and hurried up and grabbed it and had it to her chest or whatever the case may be. But where you get all that money from, Bridget? See, this when we start giving you the side eye again. Then you had August go and see Kelvin again to basically curse him out about him taking the case and about him not answering her calls. And he's saying, I was trying to call you back. I called you several times. Kelvin goes, he apologizes. He was saying that he was trying to call her back and stuff like that. And Kelvin goes and talks to Bridget's lawyer. And she's like, at this point, we got a strong case. We got a lot of stuff racked up against her. She was like, you may want to go ahead and take a plea deal, especially with the latest, info that we got, is really something that's going to be really high and significant. So he was like, well, I have the right as her attorney, everything is supposed to be disclosed to me. What is this evidence? And we don't hear what it is, but I'm assuming she tells him. Then we're seeing Christian doing a lot better with the whole wine thing. Otis had to give him his props. Like, yo, for hell must have froze over, okay, because you doing your thing. And then Christian tells him, I liked you better when you was in the hospital. And he was like, too bad. And so he was like, look, you better not start no mess or we will have to cancel our promise or whatever. And, they just going back and forth. And they like, you and me both playing, giving each other, a pound. So now it's like it's a mutual respect there. And as he's leaving from talking with Otis, Christian notices that Mr. Dana ain't doing nothing but having different, massage people or whatever coming out of his daggone, office. It's like 3 of them walking out now. So Christian actually calls Rose and is telling her, remember when we did this? Remember when we did that? Remember when we went here? He was like, my brother's a wreck right now and I don't know what the heck, you doing right now. But I need you to know that he really misses you. And, he's drowning in his sorrows or whatever the case may be. And this is not his style. And he was like, I remember how cold-hearted and immature he was before he met you. You helped him become a better man like Helen Hunt did to Jack Nicholson in that old movie. And so he basically was like, please, Rose, just come back home. Now, I don't know if Rose gonna listen to him, but he definitely was trying to put in the call for his brother. Like, nah, I'm not liking how this is going so far. And to be honest, I don't like how it's going so far either. Just in terms of how this whole family dynamic is happening with Bridget. And so you have Bridget and August actually tried to have, a conversation again. But, August is, like I said, pretty much already set and feeling like Bridget did do this. It's not even like she's trying to investigate or dig deeper or find anything else. And, you had Kelvin telling Bridget that there could be 5 months probation and $500,000 restitution. She was like, they trying to send me to jail and demand $500,000. She was like, wow, August is really out of pocket on this one. And so he was like, Sean and Sean want you fired too. I think maybe if you take this deal and tell them everything you know, the extortion felony could be bumped down to, a misdemeanor. And he was like, if not, if you find guilty, you could do up to 20 years. I'm just keeping it real and letting you know how the law works and what you're up against. And so she was like, if it wasn't for me, and if one of your clients at your top firm, what would you advise them to do? Like, if it wasn't me and it was one of your top clients, what would you advise them to? And he was like, unfortunately, I would advise them to take a plea. And so, basically the guy comes over with her wine and she's like, thank you, because they were sitting out at a restaurant. And so then when she's home, she basically was like, what's wrong with y'all? Because she sees August and she was like, oh, I know you a liar and all this other stuff. And she was like, well, why don't you tell me how everything happened? And so that's when she was like, telling her all of the things about what she had overheard with her dad. But, like I said, this does not change how August feels. She's still telling her, like, why don't you save us some embarrassment? And so at this point, Bridget is pissed and she says back to her, okay, well, tell your damn, lawyer boyfriend I don't need him anymore. And as a matter of fact, you could go back to being a side chick, which of course makes, August look like, what the hell? And so then when Kelvin and August are actually chilling together, because they have a conversation where he's like, well, your cousin fired me anyway. She actually calls and rehires him and says she's gonna fight, that her father would fight, and she has that fight in her. She's gonna take it all the way to trial, and she's gonna prove that she doesn't have anything to do with this because she's not the extortionist. So I'm like, okay, August, like, I wish you would let us know what's going on, girl, because we getting confused. But nonetheless, she says she gonna fight. So then he says he have to go. And August is like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? She was like, where are you going? She was like, he says, I got to prep for my case. And she was like, wait, what's going on? She was like, that was Bridget. She was like, didn't we just have the conversation? I thought we had got all of this worked out. And he was like, listen, I have a legal obligation, okay? And so they say they're going to talk again in the morning. But as he's getting ready to walk out, you got the damn, soon to be ex-wife supposedly walking in and saying, oh, I thought I saw you two running together. And she was like, what is going on here? August is like, how the hell you know where I live and why you just walking up in my house? And she says, last time I checked, we were still married. She was like, oh, are you screwing her? Because if you are, this changes everything. Okay, and he was like, what is not like, it's not what it looks like. So I'm like, wait a minute, hold up, what did it change? Okay. And so he's telling her it's not what it looks like, and they got to discuss this. And then August is like, Kelvin, what are you talking about? She was like, are you leaving with her? And so he turns and was like, we do still have a child together. I told y'all, I still ain't trust Kelvin either, but he talking about she's the mother of my child. I need you to trust me, remember. Okay, Kelvin, but trust is earned. And so anyway, August tells him, okay, go, she's waiting. And so he was like, August, we still good? And she's like, like, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And so of course now that probably has her thinking about what Bridget said to her. And they go out the door and she's just sitting there. So then we had, Bridget meeting up with the man that called her on the phone last week and was saying, is this still a going? Do you know what you doing? Because now you went back there to work and all of that. Is that same man. And, she was like, I want us to continue as planned. And he was like, look, I shouldn't wait until see how this plays out. He was like, I don't know what to tell you. I can't touch you, Bridget, with everything that you got going on. Everybody knows your name and they're all watching you. And she's saying, wait, you can't leave where you going. What am I going to do? You can't just leave like this. I can't do this alone. And that is basically what she keeps yelling at him as he's driving away. And I am confused, y'all, because I'm trying to understand what Bridget is trying to do. I'm trying to understand what all of this is coming from. Who was this man and what was that money that was behind the painting? I don't think it has to do with the extortion. I honestly think it's something else. And I wish they would let us know what the heck it is. If anybody has any ideas, please feel free to put it in the comments, okay? Because inquiring minds would like to know. But anyway, y'all, that was Kings of Napa. Okay? Like, share, comment, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Till next time, okay? Toodaloo. Child, confused, confused, confused.